Hi students. We are discussing about the water. Today our lecture number is yeah. Today our lecture number is 26 and module is 4. So the subject name is chemistry. This is the subject code, that is CH101 or 201. The credit is 3 and the contact hour is 35. Okay, so these are the some of the objectives I have given here, and these are the some of the course outcome that I have given. That is, after this course, completion of this course, the you can describe the fundamental properties of atom and molecules, the atomic structure, and the periodicity of the elements in the periodic table. You can able to apply the fundamental concepts of thermodynamics in different engineering applications. You can apply the knowledge of water quality parameters and corrosion control and polymers to different industries. You can able to determine the structure of organic molecules using different spectroscopic techniques, and also you can capable to evaluate the theoretical and practical aspects of any production of chemical products from the laboratory to the industrial scale. So these are the some of the course outcome that we have. This is the lecture plan of the water. Okay. So these are the some of the objectives of today's class. That is, first of all, we will discuss about the removal of permanent hardness of the water. Then we will solve some of the numericals which is based on the hardness, and then we will discuss what is alkalinity, how we can define the alkalinity, what do you mean by alkalinity. All these things we will discuss. Yeah, so these are the recapitulation. As this is the continuation of the previous chapter, so at a glance, just see whatever we have discussed in our previous class. One is water quality parameter. The topic, we have defined the hardness of the water, we have classified the hardness of the water, and also we have seen how can we remove the temporary hardness of the water. So this is the water quality parameters. One is we have physical, one is chemical parameters. So these are the some of the parameters, that is temperature, odor, color, taste, and TDS. All are belonging to the physical parameters. Okay, this is TDS value. Generally, for our drinking water, TDS should be 0 to 50. And if it is greater than 200, then the water will be hard water, and that water, that hardness, and we have to remove, and also that high value of TDS, the salts, we have to also remove. After that, we can use that water. So these are the some of the parameters of the chemical parameters like pH, BOD, COD, dissolved oxygen, total hardness, and the heavy metals. So this is the pH scale. Generally, for the water, we should have the pH scale, that is the 7. Okay, so this is BOD, that is very important parameter for any water, water quality. In our water, whatever biodegradable waste we have, so that biodegradable waste, with the help of the dissolved oxygen, it will decompose into carbon dioxide and H2O, and here microorganisms are acting as a catalyst. So for this reaction, whatever dissolved oxygen we require, that is called by the BOD. So the unit of the BOD is generally milligram per liter. Now COD, chemical oxygen demand. Again, we in our water we have biodegradable material and non-bio, both materials. So what we have to do, we have to collect that water and treat it that water with the strong oxidizing agent. What is that? Is potassium dichromate and H2SO4. With the help of this strong oxidizing agent, the waste will decompose into carbon dioxide and H2O. So, and here mercurous sulfate and silver sulfate again acting as a catalyst. Now, what will happen? These oxidizing agents will provide the oxygen. So, for this reaction, whatever oxygen we require, that is called by total amount of COD, by chemical oxygen demand. Okay, so generally COD is greater than BOD, because in COD, biodegradable and non-biodegradable both materials we have to decompose. That's why COD is greater than BOD. Okay, so this is the hardness of water, already we have discussed. The soap consuming capacity generally is called by the hardness. Now, if we have in our water, if we have bicarbonates, chloride, sulfate, carbonates of the calcium and magnesium, generally they are causing the hardness of the water. And with the hot water, the soap cannot form the leather. Rather, it will form some of the insoluble scum like this. So, for hard water we cannot use for the washing purpose. And also, these are the some of the disadvantages of the hard water. Like we cannot use for the washing purpose. We cannot use for the bathing purpose. Cooking purpose also we cannot use the hard water, because if we use the hard water, it will form a layer inside the wall of the cooking utensils, which is very harmful. Okay, and drinking water, if we consume this calcium magnesium containing water, what will happen? It will affect our digestive system, and so many biochemical effects also we have for this hard for consumption of the hard water. Okay, and these are the some of the disadvantages if we use hard water in our industry or in the factory. Generally in the textile industry, if we use the water, the quality of the fabrics will be deteriorated. Okay, again for the sugar industry, the hard water is in presence of hard water, it is very difficult to crystallize the sugar. Dyeing industry, for the dyeing industry, what will happen if we use a hard water, the dissolved salts in the hard water react with the dyes and forming the precipitate. Some of the precipitation will form. Paper industry, for the paper industry also we cannot use the hard water, as the quality of the paper will be deteriorated. Okay, so pharmaceutical purpose also we cannot use the hard water, because these salts can interfere into the reactions, and there are so many undesired product will can form. And also whatever product we need, that product also cannot be formed. Okay, so and the lastly, we cannot use the hard water for the steam generation boilers. Generally what will happen in boiler, if we use the hard water, what will happen, the dissolved salts, at that temperature the dissolved salts will form a layer inside the boiler. So and that layer should must not be uniform at the whole place. So what will happen, the heating of the boiler will be different for different zone, and which will destroy the efficiency of the boiler, as well as the boiler can explode. Okay, so these are the some of the harmful effects if we use the hard water. That's why we have to first remove the hardness of the water, and that water we can use. Now, classification of hardness. Generally, hardness is of two types. One is temporary hardness, one is permanent hardness. Temporary hardness generally bicarbonates, calcium bicarbonates, magnesium bicarbonates if we have, that hardness is causing the temporary hardness. And permanent hardness generally like chlorides, calcium chloride, calcium sulfates, or calcium carbonate, or magnesium chloride, magnesium sulfates, or magnesium carbonates if we have in the water, that water causes a permanent hardness. Okay, so this is a removal of temporary hardness. Already we have seen in the previous class that temporary hardness means bicarbonate will be present, and just by boiling the water we can remove the hardness. We can remove this calcium bicarbonate or magnesium bicarbonate. Calcium will be precipitated as the calcium carbonate, and the carbon dioxide, it will also form the carbon dioxide, and magnesium will be precipitated as magnesium hydroxide, and again carbon dioxide will form. So temporary hardness is removal is very easy. Very easily we can remove this temporary hardness, and that is why we are using again and again this term, that is temporary. Okay. Okay, so now we are discussing that is, this is our today's topic, that is the removal of permanent hardness. Generally, removal of permanent hardness are of two types. One is external process, one is internal process. External process, like we have, there are three types. One is soda lime, one is zeolite process, and one is iron exchange resin. And internal process, we have Calgon conditioning, phosphate conditioning, and colloidal conditioning. So these are the some of the types of process that we have for the removal of permanent hardness. Now why we are using this term, that is permanent? Because the for the removal of this hardness we have to apply some of the difficult methods, some of the complex methods, some chemicals we have to use, for which we are using this term, that is permanent. We can remove this hardness is not permanent at all. We can remove that hardness, but we have to apply some of the chemicals, some of the complex methods for the removal of the permanent hardness. Now we will discuss about the external process. Okay, so soda lime process. Soda lime. Soda means, right, soda as, that is sodium carbonate, and lime is generally calcium hydroxide. So in soda lime process, both we have to use sodium carbonate and calcium hydroxide. Like if our water sample having magnesium sulfate, so in presence of magnesium sulfate, what will happen? The water will show the permanent hardness. Now we have to remove this magnesium sulfate. What we have to do? We have to use this calcium lime and soda. So first of all, magnesium sulfate will react with this lime, and it will form the magnesium hydroxide. While the magnesium hydroxide will form, it will at once the precipitate out from the sample. Okay, and we have the calcium sulfate. Now these calcium sulfate again will react with the sodium carbonate and forming the calcium carbonate. So calcium will be precipitated out as the calcium carbonate, and ultimately in our water we have the remaining salt, that is the sodium sulfate, which is not at all the harmful one. So by this soda lime, by using this soda lime process, we can remove the permanent hardness. So this is one of our external process. Okay. Okay. Now removal of permanent hardness, again there are other two processes we have. One is the zeolite process, and one is iron exchange, use of iron exchange resin. Okay. So zeolite process, actually zeolite is sodium aluminosilicate. Okay, so it can be, we can get the zeolite naturally, or we can synthesize into the lab. So the chemical formula is Na2O, sodium oxide, Al2O3, aluminum oxide, silica, SiO2, and x amount of water molecules we have. Okay, so this is the zeolite process. Now zeolite, what will happen, why zeolite is like a sheet, and here we have so many porous sites. Okay, different size, the porous size of different size. So what will happen, while through this porous shade, while the water will pass, what will happen, like if our water contain calcium chloride, so calcium chloride is one of the compound, one of the salt that is causing the permanent hardness. Now calcium plus 2 and Cl minus 2, so there are two ions there and the size is different. So while the calcium chloride containing water will pass through this zeolite shade, what will happen, the calcium plus 2 will stuck into the porous side which is fit for it, and also Cl minus will also it will stuck into the porous side which is fit for the chloride ion. So there, if as there is so many options, so many size options for the porous side, so there will be so many options of the ions to get stuck into this sheet, into this zeolite sheet. So from the outlet, whatever water we are getting, that is free from any ions. Okay, so you can see hard water, this is the inlet of the hard water, this is the zeolite, and from the outlet we can get the soft water. Okay, so through the water, while the hard water is passing through the zeolite, what will happen, the whatever ions we have, that will stuck into the zeolite porous side, and after all we are getting the soft water. Okay, so this is called the zeolite process. And next we have demineralization by iron exchange resin. So these demineralizer you can see in our chemistry lab, where we may make generally the distilled water for you guys, while you are doing the practical with the distilled water. So that distilled water we are making by using this iron exchange resin. So actually what will happen in the iron exchange resin, we have one cation exchanger, we have one anion exchanger. Cation exchanger, that means it will have the charge, overall charge will be negative, and for the anion exchanger, the overall charge will be the positive. Now what will happen, if the water, impure water will passing through this cation exchanger, what will happen, in our water, like we have magnesium sulfate. Okay, magnesium plus 2 is the cation and SO4 minus 2 is the anion. So while it will pass through this cation exchanger, all the magnesium plus 2 will stuck here. Okay, and again this water will pass through the anion exchanger, so all the sulfate will stuck here. So ultimately whatever we are getting the water from the outlet, that is free from any type of ions. That is why it's called distilled water, deionized water. We don't have any type of iron. So by this, by using this iron exchange resin also, we can remove the hardness of the permanent hardness of the water. So all these are the external process for the removal of the permanent hardness. Okay, so next we will discuss about the internal process, some of the internal process. So there are three process we have. One is Calgon conditioning, phosphate conditioning, and colloidal conditioning. So Calgon conditioning, generally we are using this Calgon. Okay, uh, uh, this is called hexasodium metaphosphate. Okay, so what will happen if this calgon will be dissociated into this anion. So we that again this anion, if we use this anion, in the hard water, like containing the calcium sulfate. So what will happen, calcium sulfate will react with this anion of the calgon, the anion portion of the calgon, and it will form it will just substitute this sodium, and it will intersect, or it will just enter into the crystal, that is it will form the calcium phosphate, and then this is the sodium sulfate. Okay, so these type of some of the complex it will form after the using of calgon. Okay, so and this will precipitate out, this complex will precipitate out. Thus by using the calgon we can precipitate out the calcium. Okay, and in our water only the sodium sulfate will be there, and which is not the harmful one. Next we can use the phosphate conditioning, that means we can use the phosphate. Which phosphate? Generally we use the sodium phosphate. Okay, so sodium phosphate, like our water contain calcium chloride. So calcium chloride, in presence of calcium chloride, it's one type of permanent hardness, is causing the permanent hardness. Now in presence of sodium phosphate, calcium will form the calcium phosphate, and which form the precipitation. Okay, and sodium will form the sodium chloride salt. So this calcium, thus we can, from the water we can remove the calcium chloride, and we can precipitate out the calcium as a calcium phosphate. So this is the phosphate conditioning. And colloidal conditioning is like in any like any cooking utensils, or like boiler. In the boiler we are using the hard water. So before using the hard water, if we just brush the inner wall of the boiler with the kerosene, but tanning, but gel, so what will happen, while whatever scale will form, that will be come out very easily. So by this colloidal conditioning, we can make the non-sticky precipitation, and thus we can remove the hardness, remove the scale which is causing due to the presence of permanent hardness. Okay, so these are the some of the internal process that we can apply for the removal of the permanent hardness. Okay. Okay, now this is the very important portion, because from this portion you can have the questions, you can have the numericals. Okay, so it's very common that from this portion in your exam there will be 2 or 3 or more problems. So you have to practice the problem very well. Before that you should have the concept of how we can calculate the hardness of the water. So already, as you have done already determination of hardness in your practical, so I'm just at a glance I'm just repeating the procedure. So first of all we have to take the water, the tap water sample, which contains some of the salts which is causing the permanent hardness. Okay, next we have to add some of the buffer solution, and the EBT indicator. So after addition of the EBT indicator, it will turns into pink color. After that we have to fill up the burette with the EDTA solution, ethylene diamine tetraacetate. Okay, EDTA solution. Now this EDTA solution, this conical solution will be titrated against the EDTA solution. Okay, and after getting the neutralization point we will get the blue coloration. So pink to blue it will be the color change. That means the pink to blue, while we will get the blue color solution, that time you have to stop the burette, and from the burette reading you can get the volume of EDTA that is required for your reaction. Okay. Okay, so whatever I have told you, this is the just the procedure here is written. Hmm. Generally, we take 50 ml of water sample for the total hardness, and next we will determine. First of all, we will determine the total hardness, and next we determine the calcium hardness. So total hardness minus calcium hardness, if we do, that time we will get the magnesium hardness. So this is the total overall calculation of the hardness. So only in your syllabus you have to calculate the total hardness. Okay, so this is a calculation. Now 1000 ml 1 molar EDTA, that is equivalent to 100 gram of calcium carbonate. Why? Because if we are taking 1 molar EDTA in the left hand side, so here also we have to take the 1 molar calcium carbonate solution. Okay, so we know already that that the molecular weight of calcium carbonate is 100. So that is why instead of writing 1 molar calcium carbonate solution, here we have written that 100 gram of calcium carbonate, because 1 molar solution means whatever the molecular weight, that much gram will be present into the 1 liter of water. Okay, so 1 ml of 0. This molar EDTA we have used, that is 0.01 molar EDTA, that is equivalent to 1 milligram of calcium carbonate. So VML we have got from the Burette rating. Okay, so VML 0.01 molar EDTA, that is equals to V milligram of calcium carbonate. So V milligram of calcium carbonate is present generally the 50 ml of water, right? So 50 ml of hard water. Uh, okay, so 50 ml of hard water if contain V milligram of calcium carbonate. So 1000 ml hard water contain how much? This much. So thus the total hardness is 1000 into V divided by 50 ppm. ppm means milligram, generally the milligram per liter. Okay, so generally we calculate the hardness in terms of the calcium carbonate equivalent. Understand? Now we will see some of the problems. Okay, yeah, so these are the some of the types of problems that you can have in your exam. Okay, so a water sample on analysis was found to contain the following, that is magnesium bicarbonate is 22.5 ppm. ppm means milligram per liter, that means magnesium bicarbonate is 22.5 milligram per liter. Calcium sulfate is present, that is 7.5 ppm. Now you have to calculate the total hardness for that water sample. So how you can do this? Now already you know from the previous derivation that 1000 ml 1 normal magnesium bicarbonate solution, that is 50 gram of calcium carbonate. Now why we have written this? Actually already we know that equivalent amount of acid will react with the equivalent amount of base. So from that concept we can write down, if we are taking that one normal magnesium bicarbonate solution in our left hand side, so obviously we have to take here the one normal solution of calcium carbonate also, and one normal, that means the equivalent amount, whatever the equivalent weight, that much amount is present in 1 gram. So for the calcium carbonate the molecular weight is 100, that is why the 100 divided by 2, that will give you the equivalent weight, that is 50. Okay, so that is why instead of writing one normal solution of calcium carbonate, we have written here 50 gram of calcium carbonate. Now also sorry, Yeah, so magnesium bicarbonate is given. The You have to first calculate the molecular weight of the magnesium bicarbonate and also molecular weight of the calcium sulfate. Okay, so these molecular weights can be given in your exam in the question or cannot be. So that time, if it is not given, that time you have to calculate by yourself. First of all, whatever your question is, first of all you have to calculate the molecular weight of each compound. Okay, so molecular weight of magnesium bicarbonate is 146 and the molecular weight of calcium sulfate is 136. Okay, now so that is why the equivalent weight should be 146 divided by 2, that is 73 for magnesium bicarbonate, and for calcium sulfate that is 68. Actually, how we can get the equivalent weight? Molecular weight divided by the valency of positive ion into number of positive ion, or molecular weight divided by the valency of negative ion into number of negative ion. For from both equation you will get the same value, same equivalent weight. Any equation you can use, and either cation or anion you have to consider. Okay, so this is the formula from where we are getting the equivalent weight from the molecular weight. Okay, so that's why already I have told you that 1000 ml 1 normal magnesium bicarbonate, that is equals to 1 normal calcium carbonate. So that means 73 gram of magnesium bicarbonate equivalent to 50 gram of calcium carbonate. So 7.5. Uh, okay, sorry. This will be the value of 7.5. Yeah. So 7.5 is the value of magnesium bicarbonate, and 22.5 is the value of the calcium sulfate. Yeah. Okay. So 7.5 milligram of magnesium bicarbonate, that is equals to this much of the calcium carbonate. So hardness due to presence of magnesium bicarbonate is 5.14 ppm. Why ppm? Because it is already you have measured it in milligram per liter. So that's why we can write down as the ppm. Okay. So again, in the similar way, you have to calculate the calcium carbonate. What is the hardness due to presence of the calcium sulfate. Okay, so 1000 ml 1 normal again calcium sulfate, that is equals to 50 gram of calcium carbonate, 68 gram of calcium sulfate, that is equivalent to 50 gram of calcium carbonate. So 22.5 milligram of calcium sulfate is equivalent to how much? So total hardness, here we have got the 5.14 and from here we have got the 16.54. So our total hardness for the water sample is 21.68. So whatever the compounds are present in your water, whatever it is, first of all you have to transform it into the calcium carbonate, because hardness we are determining with respect to calcium carbonate, understand, with the equivalent to calcium carbonate. So whatever it is, you have to first calculate the how much calcium carbonate is present in the water, understand. Okay, so next we will see the next problem. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, calculate the hardness of water sample which contain, again look here, 204 gram of calcium sulfate. So first of all you have to find out the molecular weight of calcium sulfate, that is 136, and thus you can get the molecular equivalent weight also, that is 68. Now this, if we have in our water sample 204 gram of calcium sulfate, then how much this 204 gram of calcium sulfate is equivalent to how much calcium carbonate, that first you have to find out. How? By this 1000 ml 1 normal calcium sulfate solution, that is equivalent to again 50 gram of calcium carbonate, because 50 is the equivalent weight of the calcium carbonate. So 68 gram of calcium sulfate, that is equivalent to obviously 50 gram of calcium carbonate. So 205 milligram, yes, this should be milligram, not the gram. Okay. Okay, so 204 milligram of calcium sulfate is equivalent to how much? That is 150 milligram. That means the hardness due to presence of calcium sulfate, that is equals to 150 ppm, because this 204 is the milligram. Okay, so this should be the milligram, not gram. This is the milligram. So ppm is milligram per liter. So this is the answer. Yeah. So, how many grams of iron sulfate dissolved per liter of water give 210.5 ppm of the hardness? Okay, so here the molecular, again you have to find out the molecular weight of iron sulfate, that is 151.90, and the equivalent weight is 75.95. Okay, so hardness is given, that is 210 ppm. Hence, hardness means the amount of calcium carbonate per liter of water. So 210 ppm means 210 milligram per liter calcium carbonate is present per liter of water. So that's why we have written that is 100,000 ml of water contain 210 milligram per liter of calcium carbonate. So from this we can write this statement. Next, so 50 gram of calcium carbonate means we know that 1000 ml 1 normal iron sulfate solution. Okay, so 1 normal iron sulfate means 75.95. So 50 gram equivalent to 75.95 gram of iron sulfate. So 210 milligram of calcium carbonate is how much? That is 310 milligram of iron sulfate. That is why, hence, iron sulfate present in water, you can see here how many grams. So 0.31 gram of iron sulfate is present in the water sample. So this is just the reverse. Whatever we have done in the previous cases, previous problems, this is just the reverse one. Okay. So thus we can solve the problems, we can calculate the total hardness of the water. So these type of problems are very common and you can have in your exam also. So practice the problems very well. Okay. Yeah. So next, alkalinity of water. Generally, alkalinity means the basic character of water. Okay, the buffering capacity of water. Now, why this alkaline behavior of alkalinity the water will show? Because of presence of hydroxide, carbonates, and bicarbonates. Generally, hydroxide and carbonates are the strong one, and the bicarbonates answer the weak one. Okay, so for the presence of this hydroxide, carbonate, and bicarbonate, we can, the water can show the alkaline nature, the basic nature. Okay, alkalinity, the unit of the alkalinity is again milligram per liter, and again we can calculate it with respect to the calcium carbonate. But in your syllabus you don't have the calculation for the alkalinity measurement. Okay, so this is a quick review. Whatever I have taught, how much you have got, for that I have given one question, that is, name one external process for the removal of the permanent hardness. For that you will get the 10-second time. Your time starts now. Yeah, 10-second time is over. So yes, of course, the Geolite process. Geolite process is one of the external process. There are three external process generally we have. One is soda-lime process, geolite process, and the ion exchange process. Okay. So both process we can use for the removal of permanent hardness. Okay, this is the recapitulation. So today we have discussed about the removal of the permanent hardness. We have solved some of the numericals which is very important. We have calculated the total hardness. Okay, and also we have discussed about the alkalinity. So just follow my classes very well, because if you don't follow the classes, then you cannot do the assignment properly, and also you cannot submit the assignment. Okay, so thank you students, and follow the classes, do the assignment, submit it within the time. So see you again in the next class.